make a difference because when we build a Mexican plant, we only consider it's the Mexico market and also other countries' market, not really consider U.S.
Mexico just dropped a bombshell, a brand new EV that's cheaper, faster to produce, and ready to take over the U.S. market.
The brand has arrived very strongly in Mexico's market. With electric vehicles that are financially accessible, electric mobility is clearly the future, and we have to start adapting to it.
Could this be the end of Tesla's dominance and a nightmare for American automakers? Stay tuned, because this game-changing EV might just crush the U.S. industry for good. Mexico's shocking EV announcement, a game-changer. No one saw coming. Just when the world thought the EV battle was between the U.S., China, and Europe, Mexico entered the fight with a game-changing announcement that no one expected. Mexico has officially unveiled a new electric vehicle that could shake the foundation of the North American auto industry. Known for its manufacturing expertise, Mexico has long been the backbone of car production for major automakers. But now it's doing something different, leading innovation instead of just assembling cars for foreign brands. At a highly anticipated event, Mexico's top automotive executives, government officials, and engineers revealed a bold vision. A high-quality, affordable EV designed specifically to challenge Tesla, GM, and Ford. With an emphasis on cost efficiency, streamlined production, and cutting-edge battery technology, this new EV is not just another competitor. It's a direct threat to the entire U.S. electric vehicle industry. The automotive world never saw this coming. For decades, U.S. automakers have relied on Mexico for cheap labor and production, but they never imagined Mexico could become a leader in EV innovation. Now, with new factories, advanced technology, and aggressive pricing, Mexico is proving it has what it takes to disrupt the market and reshape the future of EVs. But what exactly is this Mexican EV, and why has it sent shockwaves through the U.S. auto industry? Let's take a closer look at what makes this car such a serious threat. What is Mexico's new EV, and why is it a threat to U.S. automakers? The key to Mexico's game-changing EV strategy is simple. Build an electric vehicle that is practical, affordable, and accessible to the masses. Unlike Tesla and other American automakers, which focus on luxury and high-performance EVs, Mexico's approach is completely different. This new EV is built for everyday drivers, offering a reliable, efficient, and cost-effective alternative to expensive U.S. models. It's designed to be affordable for the average consumer, filling a gap in the market that U.S. automakers have failed to address. What makes this EV so disruptive? Production efficiency. Mexico is utilizing state-of-the-art factories, advanced supply chain management, and local resources to build this EV faster and cheaper than its American competitors. While U.S. automakers are struggling with supply chain issues, Mexico is streamlining production, cutting costs, and eliminating inefficiencies that have plagued the American EV market. With low manufacturing costs, cutting-edge battery technology, and a market-ready design, this EV has positioned itself as a direct competitor to Tesla, Ford, and GM. Automakers in the U.S. are now scrambling to respond, realizing that Mexico's EV strategy could disrupt their dominance in the North American market. But if there's one thing that's making U.S. automakers nervous, it's price, because Mexico just changed the rules of the EV pricing game. The price war, how Mexico is undercutting Tesla and U.S. automakers. If Mexico's EV breakthrough wasn't enough, it has now launched an all-out price war, and this is where U.S. automakers are losing ground fast. Tesla's cheapest model starts at around $39,000, and most American EVs are far out of reach for the average consumer. In contrast, Mexico's new EV could start at just $20,000, making it one of the most affordable electric vehicles ever produced in North America. How is Mexico able to undercut Tesla and other U.S. automakers so aggressively? The answer lies in low-cost manufacturing, smart supply chain management, and efficient production methods. Unlike the U.S., where labor costs and production expenses are high, Mexico's automotive industry operates at a fraction of the cost. This means it can build EVs cheaper and faster than its American rivals. Beyond labor costs, Mexico is also sourcing local battery materials, cutting import fees, and avoiding expensive supply chain disruptions that have affected U.S. automakers. The result? A high-quality, low-cost EV that is ready to dominate the North American market. This aggressive pricing strategy is forcing Tesla, GM, and Ford to rethink their entire business models. If U.S. automakers can't compete on price, How will they survive against a rapidly expanding Mexican EV industry? But Mexico isn't just competing on cost. It's also outsmarting U.S. car giants with a new way of producing EVs. How Mexico is outsmarting U.S. car giants in EV production. While American automakers are struggling with slow production, expensive supply chains, and complex logistics, Mexico is doing things differently and smarter. The secret to Mexico's success lies in vertical integration, a strategy that allows automakers to control every aspect of production, from battery sourcing to vehicle assembly. Instead of relying on foreign suppliers for critical EV components, Mexico is developing its own battery supply chains, securing local resources, and reducing dependency on costly imports. This streamlined approach cuts costs, increases production speed, and eliminates supply chain bottlenecks that have slowed down U.S. automakers for years. While Tesla, GM, and Ford struggle with semiconductor shortages and battery production delays, Mexico's efficient manufacturing process ensures steady production with fewer disruptions. Beyond efficiency, Mexico's factories are optimized for high-output EV manufacturing, meaning they can produce more vehicles in less time compared to traditional U.S. plants. This is a serious problem for American automakers, as it means Mexico can flood the market with affordable EVs before the U.S. can even respond. But Mexico's biggest breakthrough might not be its production strategy. It's the advanced battery technology that could change the game forever. The battery breakthrough that makes this EV a major threat. If affordability and efficient production weren't enough, Mexico's battery innovation might be the final blow that puts U.S. EVs at a major disadvantage. The new Mexican EV will likely use next-generation lithium iron phosphate, LFP batteries, a technology that is cheaper, safer, and longer-lasting than the lithium-ion packs used by Tesla and other U.S. automakers. Why does this matter? LFP batteries offer multiple advantages. Lower cost, they are cheaper to produce, reducing overall vehicle prices, longer lifespan. They last significantly longer than traditional lithium-ion batteries. Faster charging. LFP batteries charge quicker, making them more practical for everyday use. Safer design. Unlike traditional EV batteries, LFP packs are less prone to overheating or catching fire. Mexico is also making huge investments in lithium mining, reducing its dependence on China for battery materials. By securing local lithium sources, Mexico is ensuring stable battery production, something that U.S. automakers are struggling to achieve. This battery breakthrough, combined with low production costs in a strategic location, puts Mexico in a prime position to dominate the North American EV market. And speaking of location, Mexico's geographic advantage over the U.S. might just be the key to taking over the entire industry. Mexico's strategic location, the advantage U.S. automakers can't match. While cost efficiency and battery innovation are major factors in Mexico's EV rise, there's another undeniable advantage that U.S. automakers simply can't replicate: location. Mexico's proximity to the United States gives it an enormous logistical advantage over other EV-producing nations like China, South Korea, and even Germany. With major trade agreements like the USMCA, United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, in place, Mexico has a seamless export channel to the world's second-largest auto market, the U.S. Unlike Chinese automakers, who face heavy tariffs and shipping delays when exporting EVs to the U.S., Mexican-made EVs move across the border tariff-free, making them far more cost-competitive. Beyond trade advantages, faster shipping times and lower transportation costs give Mexico a major edge in supply chain efficiency. A U.S. automaker producing EVs in China must deal with long wait times for overseas shipping, port delays, and increased costs due to import fees. In contrast, a Mexican automaker can transport vehicles to U.S. dealerships in a fraction of the time and at a much lower cost. This means that even if a U.S. EV manufacturer produces a car with similar specs and pricing to Mexico's new EV, Mexico will still win on logistics alone. Another critical factor is supply chain resilience. Over the past few years, the U.S. auto industry has been crippled by supply chain disruptions, including semiconductor shortages, shipping bottlenecks, and unpredictable production delays. Mexico, however, is working to build a more self-reliant EV ecosystem, reducing its dependency on overseas suppliers. By investing in local lithium mining, battery manufacturing, and semiconductor production, Mexico is ensuring that its EV supply chain remains stable, efficient, and cost-effective. This logistical advantage also extends to labor. with a highly skilled workforce that already produces vehicles for brands like GM, Ford, Toyota, and Volkswagen Mexico, has the manufacturing expertise to transition smoothly into mass EV production. In contrast, the U.S. faces ongoing labor shortages and union disputes, which have slowed down EV production and increased costs for American automakers. With all these factors combined, a prime geographical location, free trade advantages, lower transportation costs, and a resilient supply chain, Mexico has positioned itself as the most strategically placed EV manufacturing hub in North America. But this isn't just about logistics. Mexico is emerging as a global EV production powerhouse, and the world is starting to take notice. The rise of Mexico as a global EV production hub. For decades, Mexico has been seen as a key manufacturing hub for global automakers. But now it's stepping up as a leader in EV production, not just assembly. Mexico's automotive industry is booming, with nearly 4 million vehicles produced annually, making it the 7th largest car manufacturer in the world. Traditionally, these factories were used to build cars for foreign brands, but the shift toward EVs has opened a new opportunity, one where Mexico can lead instead of follow. Companies like Tesla, General Motors, and Ford are already expanding their EV production operations in Mexico, but now Mexican automakers are stepping into the spotlight with their own homegrown EV brands. Major investment is pouring into the country as the world recognizes Mexico's potential to dominate the EV industry. Billions of dollars are being funneled into new EV manufacturing plants, battery gigafactories, and lithium mining operations. Foreign investors see Mexico as a stable, cost-efficient, and strategically located alternative to China, allowing them to produce affordable EVs without the political and trade complications that come with manufacturing in Asia. The Mexican government is also playing a major role in driving this shift. Through tax incentives, subsidies, and infrastructure investment, the government is actively supporting the growth of domestic EV production. This level of government backing has given Mexico a massive boost in attracting automakers, ensuring that its EV sector continues to expand rapidly. Another key factor in Mexico's rise as an EV hub is its deep integration with the North American auto supply chain. Many of the biggest auto parts suppliers in the world already have manufacturing plants in Mexico, which means that local automakers have direct access to essential EV components without relying on expensive imports. This makes production faster, cheaper, and less vulnerable to global supply chain disruptions, a crucial advantage in today's market. As global automakers struggle with rising costs, labor shortages, and supply chain instability, Mexico's efficient, cost-effective, and scalable EV production model is becoming an attractive alternative. Some industry analysts even predict that in the next 10 to 15 years, Mexico could surpass the U.S. as North America's leading EV producer, a scenario that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. But Mexico's rise isn't just a win for its auto industry. It's also exposing the cracks in the U.S. EV market, forcing American automakers to rethink their entire strategy. How this exposes the flaws in the U.S. EV market. While Mexico's new EV is making headlines, it's also shining a harsh spotlight on the major weaknesses in the U.S. EV industry. The biggest issue? Affordability. Despite government subsidies and tax credits, the average cost of an EV in the U.S. is still far too high for most consumers. Tesla's cheapest model, the Model 3, starts at around $39,000, while many Ford and GM EVs are well above $50,000. In contrast, Mexico's new EV is expected to start at just $20,000, making it a game changer for budget-conscious buyers. Then there's the issue of charging infrastructure. While the U.S. has been slow to expand its charging network, Mexico is taking a different approach, building affordable, practical charging solutions that cater to mass adoption. Instead of focusing solely on ultra-fast chargers that require expensive grid upgrades, Mexico is rolling out lower-cost, widely available charging stations that can be installed in homes, businesses, and public spaces with minimal investment. This could accelerate EV adoption in Mexico while exposing the weaknesses of the U.S. charging strategy. Another critical flaw in the U.S. EV market is its over-reliance on China for battery materials. Nearly 70% of the world's lithium processing happens in China, meaning that U.S. automakers are dependent on a foreign supply chain for one of the most essential EV components. Mexico, on the other hand, is investing heavily in domestic lithium mining, ensuring that its battery supply remains local, stable, and cost-effective. There's also the issue of production inefficiency. While Tesla, GM, and Ford are struggling with high production costs, factory delays, and labor disputes, Mexico is proving that EVs can be produced faster and cheaper with the right approach. U.S. automakers have been slow to adapt, while Mexico has already streamlined its EV supply chain for maximum efficiency. All these factors combined paint a worrying picture for the U.S. auto industry. If American automakers can't solve these problems quickly, they risk losing their dominance in the North American market to a fast-rising EV powerhouse just south of the border. And while Tesla has long been the undisputed leader in EVs, this new Mexican challenger could finally shake its throne. What this means for Tesla, the end of its dominance? For years, Tesla has been the undisputed king of electric vehicles. But with Mexico's shocking EV breakthrough, Elon Musk may be facing his biggest challenge yet. Tesla's success has always been built on technological innovation, brand loyalty, and early market dominance. But Mexico's aggressive new EV strategy is exposing the weaknesses in Tesla's business model. Unlike previous competitors who have tried and failed to dethrone Tesla, Mexico isn't just competing, it's rewriting the rules of the EV game. One of the biggest threats to Tesla comes from pricing and affordability. While Tesla has focused on premium EVs with high profit margins, Mexico's new EV is targeting the mass market at an unprecedented price point. With a starting price as low as $20,000, Mexico's EV will be half the cost of Tesla's cheapest Model 3, making it accessible to millions of new customers who couldn't afford an EV before. Beyond pricing, Mexico is outmaneuvering Tesla on production speed and efficiency. While Tesla has been plagued by production delays, supply chain disruptions, and factory bottlenecks, Mexico's vertical integration strategy is allowing it to produce vehicles faster, cheaper, and with fewer supply chain risks. Tesla still relies on outsourced battery materials from China, while Mexico is building its own lithium supply chain, reducing dependency on foreign imports and keeping costs low. Tesla also faces challenges with scaling production. While Tesla is investing heavily in Giga Mexico, its upcoming factory in Monterrey, this plant won't be operational until at least 2025, meaning Mexico's EV competitors already have a head start in the region. Even if Tesla builds an affordable EV in Mexico, it may not be able to compete with the cost advantages that Mexican automakers already have. But Tesla isn't the only U.S. automaker facing serious pressure. Legacy car giants like GM and Ford are also struggling to keep up. How U.S. automakers are reacting: desperation or adaptation? The rise of Mexico's EV industry isn't just a Tesla problem. It's a wake-up call for the entire U.S. auto industry. For decades, American automakers like GM, Ford, and Chrysler have dominated the North American market. But now they're scrambling to respond to Mexico's low-cost, high-efficiency EV production model. The question is, are they adapting fast enough, or are they about to fall behind? One of the first signs of panic came when Ford slashed prices on its Mustang Mach-E, trying to remain competitive in the affordable EV market. But even with price cuts, Ford's EVs still cost significantly more than Mexico's new EV, making it clear that simply lowering prices isn't enough to compete. GM has also announced plans to ramp up EV production, but supply chain issues and slow factory upgrades have delayed key models, putting them at a disadvantage. Meanwhile, Mexico's cost-cutting and efficiency advantages are making it almost impossible for U.S. automakers to keep up. American car companies still rely on high-cost labor, expensive supply chains, and slow production methods, while Mexico is streamlining everything. The result? Faster production, lower costs, and EVs that are simply more competitive than what U.S. automakers are offering. Some analysts believe that U.S. automakers may try to lobby for trade protections to slow down the Mexican EV invasion. New tariffs, subsidies, or government incentives for American-made EVs could be used as a shield against lower-cost Mexican competitors. But will that be enough? With consumers looking for cheaper and more practical EV options, any attempt to limit Mexican imports could backfire politically. Unless U.S. automakers fundamentally change how they build and sell EVs, they risk losing ground in their own backyard. The battle isn't just about who can make the best EVs anymore. It's about who can build them the fastest and cheapest. And right now, Mexico is winning. And as this EV war heats up, it's not just the auto industry watching. Governments on both sides of the border are preparing for a major trade battle. The political and trade battle over Mexico's EV disruption. With Mexico's EV industry booming, the question now is, Will the US government step in to protect American automakers? Or will they let the market decide? The US auto industry is a massive economic powerhouse, and Mexico's low-cost EVs pose a serious threat to American roads, factories, and profits. This has raised concerns in Washington, D.C., where lawmakers are debating whether to increase tariffs on Mexican EVs, introduce new subsidies for U.S. automakers, or renegotiate trade agreements. One of the biggest issues is the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA. Under this trade deal, Mexico can export vehicles duty-free to the U.S., making it difficult for American automakers to compete on cost. If Congress or the White House decides to adjust trade policies, it could trigger a full-scale trade war between Mexico and the U.S. But the problem is more complex than just protecting U.S. automakers. Many American companies already rely on Mexican factories to produce cars, meaning that any trade restrictions on Mexican EVs could backfire on the entire U.S. auto industry. Automakers like GM, Ford, and Tesla all have major operations in Mexico, so cutting off Mexico's EV exports could harm U.S. businesses as well. But Mexico isn't just competing with the U.S. It's also taking on the world's biggest EV superpower, China. Mexico's EV boom and what it means for China. The U.S. isn't the only country feeling the pressure from Mexico's electric vehicle revolution. China, the world's largest EV producer, may have just met its biggest challenger. For years, China has dominated the global EV industry, manufacturing over 50% of all electric vehicles and controlling the majority of the battery supply chain. Chinese brands like BYD, NIO, and XPeng have flooded the market with affordable EVs, making it difficult for competitors to keep up. But now Mexico is emerging as a powerful new player, threatening China's hold on the industry. One of the biggest advantages Mexico has over China is its geographic proximity to the U.S. market. While Chinese EVs face steep tariffs, long shipping times, and political trade tensions with the U.S., Mexico's EVs can be exported tariff-free thanks to the USMCA trade agreement. This means Mexico can produce and sell affordable EVs in North America faster and cheaper than China ever could. Another major factor is supply chain security. The U.S. government has been actively discouraging dependence on Chinese-made EVs by introducing policies that favor domestically or regionally produced vehicles. This puts Mexico in a prime position to capitalize on U.S. demand for non-Chinese EVs, giving North American buyers a low-cost alternative to Chinese imports. But while Mexico is making huge strides in production, one key question remains: is the country ready to support a nationwide EV infrastructure? The infrastructure question. Is Mexico ready for mass EV adoption? Producing affordable EVs is one thing, but can Mexico support a large-scale transition to electric vehicles with the necessary charging infrastructure? One of the biggest challenges facing Mexico's EV industry is its underdeveloped charging network. Unlike the U.S., which has been investing in thousands of charging stations nationwide, Mexico's EV charging infrastructure is still in its early stages. For mass EV adoption to succeed, Mexico must rapidly expand its network of charging stations, especially in rural areas and major highways. The Mexican government is stepping in to address this challenge, launching new initiatives to build charging stations across the country. Energy companies are also partnering with automakers to create a nationwide charging grid, ensuring that new EV buyers won't be left stranded without power. Another factor in Mexico's favor is its focus on home charging solutions. Since most EV owners charge their vehicles overnight at home, Mexico is investing in low-cost, accessible home charging units, making EV ownership easier and more practical. By ensuring that every household can install an affordable charging system, Mexico could accelerate its EV transition without needing an extensive public charging network. But Mexico's EV success isn't just a local story. It has the potential to reshape the global auto industry in ways we've never seen before. The global implications: how Mexico's EV success could reshape the auto industry. Mexico's electric vehicle boom isn't just changing North America, it's setting a new precedent for how EVs are produced, priced, and sold worldwide. For years, the auto industry has been dominated by a handful of major countries: the US, China, Germany, and Japan. But Mexico's rise as an EV powerhouse is shifting the balance of power, showing that a country best known for assembling cars can actually lead in innovation and production. If Mexico continues on its current trajectory, other developing nations may follow suit, proving that EV leadership isn't just for superpowers. Countries like Brazil, India, and Indonesia may take inspiration from Mexico's success, investing in their own low-cost EV industries to compete on a global scale. European and Asian automakers are also taking notice. Companies like Volkswagen, Hyundai, and Nissan are already investing in Mexican EV production, signaling that they see Mexico as a key part of their global strategy. If major automakers shift more of their EV production to Mexico, it could accelerate the country's dominance in the electric vehicle space. With all these factors in play, one big question remains. Is Mexico's EV revolution truly the future of electric cars, or just another competitor in an already crowded market? The final verdict: is Mexico's EV the real future of electric cars? After analyzing Mexico's low-cost EV production, battery breakthroughs, logistical advantages, and growing influence in the global market, one thing is clear. This is more than just another competitor. This is a revolution. Mexico's ability to produce high-quality EVs at half the cost of US and European automakers is forcing the industry to rethink everything. With efficient supply chains, affordable pricing, and direct access to the US market, Mexico has positioned itself as a serious threat to Tesla, GM, and even China's EV giants. For consumers, this is great news. The introduction of low-cost, practical, and efficient Mexican EVs means that more people will have access to affordable electric transportation, accelerating the global shift away from gasoline-powered cars. For US automakers, however, this is a wake-up call. If companies like Tesla, Ford, and GM don't adapt quickly, they risk losing market share to a rising EV superpower right on their doorstep. Ultimately, Mexico's EV breakthrough isn't just a challenge to existing automakers. It's a sign that the future of electric cars is changing fast. The question isn't if Mexico will succeed in the EV industry, it's whether the rest of the world is ready to keep up with the pace of its disruption. What do you think? Will Mexico's new EV dominate the market? Or will Tesla and US automakers fight back? Let us know in the comments.